My name is Marcus Shapiro. I am a hiking, strength, and conditioning coach and the founder of fitfortrips.com. Today, I had the privilege of speaking with one of my backpacking clients. His name is Dermot. He was 54 years old when he successfully completed an epic 8-day backpacking adventure in the Maroon Bells. We had a great chat about the biggest concerns and challenges he faced during the 16 weeks of training we did together. He was so open and honest about his journey, and to my surprise, he dropped some wisdom that felt like it came from someone much, much older. This is a really authentic conversation that I think you're going to love. And what makes this discussion so relatable for many of you listening is that Dermot trained in and around his home in Chicago for this intense Colorado trip despite having little experience and zero hiking available. Dermot proves you can accomplish any hiking adventure, regardless of where you live. I am truly honored to have been a part of his journey, and I'm grateful for his endorsement. So, sit back and enjoy my conversation with Dermot. We started working together in May of 24, and at that time you had about 20 weeks before your Maroon Bells Colorado backpacking adventure. So I just want to state that it was a 7-day backpacking trip. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is it 7 days? 7 days, right.
Ended up being 8 days. It was originally 7, then we got an extra permit.
Got it. Okay. And so it was about 50 miles total and about 12,400 feet of elevation gain total.
Yeah.
So here's what you wrote me upon your return from Colorado. Okay, I'm going to read this. So you said, "Hello, Marcus. I cannot thank you enough. I had an amazing trip and absolutely impressed myself with my performance. The steeper the climbs, the stronger I felt. I had so much confidence in my abilities. Hands down, best backpacking trip I have been on. Okay, I'm not going to say goodbye because I'm looking forward to training with you again. If you'll have me, I felt like the Kool-Aid man out there, ready to bust through a brick wall. Thank you again. The value of your services are extraordinary. I finally have the confidence to attempt a rim to rim." So anyway, so after reading that, I definitely needed to chat with you. We had developed a good rapport over all these months. Again, we had worked together for like 20 weeks. So anyway, I really just wanted to kind of talk to you in a different capacity. So
Sure.
Why did you decide to commit to do a backpacking trip in the Maroon Bells? And what were you most looking forward to on that trip?
So the trip, actually, a friend of mine organized it. He got 4 permits and he asked me. So I was really pretty impressed that, I would be one of the 3 people he would want to go out there with. And it was something that I've always wanted to do, get out to Colorado, get out to Wyoming, Idaho, just get out in the mountains and really just get out there and be out there. And, you're in it then.
I know I have a list of some of the adventures you've done. I know you did, was it one backpacking trip prior to this one? Is that correct?
A few, but the longest has only been like 2 nights on the trail.
Okay. So you definitely did not have a lot of experience. This was a big jump for you.
Yeah, total, I would say this was probably maybe 10, might have only been 9. So probably single digit backpacking trips.
Sure.
Definitely single digit.
Yeah. So tell me, what were your biggest concerns about the trip?
Oh my God. First, just physically, am I going to be able to, drag myself up and down these mountains with a pack on? Second was kind of the mental, never been out there for 8 days. I'm going to be out there, on day 3 and just be like, oh my God, I just want to go home. This is not what I was thinking it was going to be, or just sort of dealing with the mental aspect of it and the unknown, I suppose. Like thinking, sometimes you go into something, think you're really going to enjoy it, and then you get there and you're just like, oh, this is not what I was expecting at all. That kind of a thing, but mostly the physical, but quite a bit of the mental too. And just didn't want to get out there and had to, be the one that everybody was waiting for half an hour, come on up the trail, and just everybody constantly waiting for me.
Yeah, that's a pretty common concern. And I remember that was one of the first things you said. You didn't want to hold anybody up.
Yeah.
So going back to where we started. So we worked together basically all of May, all of June, and all of July of 24 to build your base. So between the treadmill, the stairs, and walking, you completed 182 miles of training and a total elevation gain of 32,542 feet. So that was, again, between primarily stairs and treadmill.
Yeah.
And so stairs are the key. That's where you get true elevation gain. And then treadmill is important, but I call it kind of virtual elevation gain. But nonetheless, that's a big feat. So after those 12 weeks, that was a tremendous base from there, which we can segue into, the peak phase, which was basically 8 weeks of training. And at that point, we switched to more of walking with a heavy pack and really kind of transitioned, from volume of training to doing just heavier type walks and stair climbing and so on. Just out of curiosity, what can you remember was the difference between kind of base training and the last 8 weeks kind of peak training? Does anything stand out?
I think I was cursing you out a whole lot more during the peak training day. I was kind of like wondering if you were like the spawn of Satan or like, just enjoyed, people being miserable. But
it was tough.
It was hard. It was tough. There was one, I remember I was, allegedly, it might have been at work and, going for 2,500 feet in elevation. And I just remember at one point must have been around a little over 1,500. You got a 30-something pound pack on and you're just going one at a time. I think it was 110 sets to get to 2,500. So I must have been around 110 is 55. Must have been around the high 60s and just had to sit down at the top of the landing. And I was just wallowing in a pool of sweat and self-pity. And I was just ready. I was ready to throw the towel in. I was just like, I'm just canceling this trip. This training's too much. It's too hard. Nothing could be worth working this hard for. After a few minutes of, kind of like, all right, let's quit feeling sorry for ourselves. Let's just, so I said, okay, I don't know if I'm probably not going to get to 25 today, but let's just do what you can. Just go as much as you can. And whatever it is, we'll, figure it out and just say, hey, all I could get was 2,000, 22 feet, 2,200, whatever. Just let's finish it out and do it. And then, eventually, with a lot of breaks, got to the 2,500. So I knew it could be done. So I said, okay, next time it can't be done. It's going to be hard. It's going to be long, but, we can do it. And then, once I got out there and got in those mountains, it was just like, okay, I guess all that training is worth it. There is the bucket list and, your dreams are worth the little hard work and pain, suffering.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, you never complained. I work with clients all the time and they'll most of the time share with me the struggles that you just verbalized now.
Amen.
And you didn't complain at all, man. You just did it, which is really fascinating. Partly why I like talking with my clients afterwards. So here's the deal. For those that are listening who get to hear this, I will tamp down the volume and intensity of work to a certain degree if a client shares that information with me. And that doesn't mean that they can't then do the trip if they can't do exactly what it is that I'm telling them to do. But it just means on the trip, hey, it might require a little more mental toughness, but you could still do it. But in your case, you did it all and you were rewarded by feeling like, I just wonder how many people listening to this can imagine that Kool-Aid guy just busting through the wall. And that's a great visual.
Yeah, I think we're showing our age a little bit here with that one.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, I just think that's important for people to understand. There's several things people can take away from it. One, do the hard work and you get the reward. But the other side of it is, hey, you do a percentage of it And then you can still do your trip. You might have to work a little bit harder on your trip, but you still be able to do it. Anyway, I don't want to belabor that point too much. Tell me then, let's go back to your initial concern about holding up the group. Can you share any anecdotes illustrating how the program helped you kind of keep up with the group?
Yeah. Because I think it was, so the first couple of days I wasn't feeling great. I don't know if it was altitude sickness or like a mild version, but really at a very, low level headache, maybe, 2 or 3 out of 10, and low level, just like really minor nauseous feeling again, probably like a 3 out of 10, just enough where you didn't really want to eat. I didn't snack and I didn't really want to eat. I ate dinner just because I knew I had to, and I knew I needed the calories, but it was terrible. It really just, you just had to force it down. But then I remember about lunchtime on the third day, started feeling better, was starting to eat a little bit, and then it was just, man, like human cannonball just shot out of the cannon, and they were actually yelling. I'm not yelling, but got it through back channels that they were upset with me because I was too far ahead, and I get it, when you're out there in the mountains, if the group's got a problem, everybody needs to be together, and you can't have, somebody 20 minutes up the trail kind of doing their thing. And so they were upset that I was getting too far ahead, but it was such a new feeling to me when I'm used to like being the very last. And then it was like, okay, now I'm leading the charge. It was just like, I just couldn't help myself. I just had to keep going and going. And I was just like, come on, guys, let's go. Yeah, you guys have been training hard enough. Hurry up. So it was amazing, absolutely amazing feeling.
Yeah, I think you were correct. You hadn't acclimatized fully yet. So you were in great shape, which helps mitigate the initial issues of altitude as long as you don't push yourself too fast and too hard, get your heart rate up. Yeah, you might feel uncomfortable, headache, lack of appetite, but you then acclimatized and then you just crushed it. So that's pretty exciting. Was there anything else that surprised you that you were able to do with which you think the program helped? Any other anecdotes, whether it's climbing, the ascents or descents or anything like that?
No, I mean, all of it for sure. I mean, it was just, the flats were good and I felt strong. But I mean, once the steep stuff came, it was like, okay, get out of the way. You know what I mean? I'm busting through, man. Here comes the Kool-Aid man. And I don't know what it was. I just like wanted a red line, just go as fast as or maybe not quite. I was going but I just wanted to give maximum effort, head up there and then just like kind of over the trekking poles, just sucking wind for 60, 90 seconds. And then, all right, let's go again, straight to red line. Like one time I was caught, I was a bit behind, we'd stopped together and everybody went up and I was actually like the fourth one. There was 4 of us. So I was behind. So I was just like, oh, okay, it'll be a nice, easy pace. This will be fun, just be easy. Won't have to worry about catching your breath. But I just didn't like it. I was just like, hey, you mind if I cut in front? I just wanted to just go completely, just redline it and just, that's what I enjoyed the most, So I don't know why. I think it was just the whole newness of it all.
Well, that's encouraging. I'm going to give you an opportunity to comment on the various elements of your training program.
Okay.
You did treadmill, stairs, you did heavy pack walks, let's call it a ruck walk, and some leg strength exercises. Is there anything you want to comment on about those? Or you can kind of maybe weave that into the next question which is what was the most beneficial part of the program or beneficial parts of the program? Like what activities do you think contributed most to your success? Answer that however you want.
Yeah, I mean, they all, I remember we started with the leg training. God, I remember back then, it was just like, oh my God, this is hard. Seems pretty simple, but seemed a lot harder than it ought to have been. The treadmill, I thought like that, like you're explaining, it lengthens your Achilles and hamstrings. And So I mean, that really made sense. Obviously, walking with a heavy pack, I mean, that's what you're going to be doing. So, I mean, that makes perfect sense. And then the stairs are, where you really, that's where it all kind of ties it all together. And after a good stair workout, the legs are typically feeling it. But it was, but then once you go through the training, your legs aren't sore anymore. It's kind of strange, but it's more of like a kind of a tired feeling than sore. It's kind of hard for me to explain, but it's like, you've done something, but it's not like, oh my God, I need to like just lay on the couch all day. It's just like, nah, it's okay. We just gotta get out and go for a walk. Seems like the best thing to do whenever I get that kind of tired feeling.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's like the textbook acclimation right there. So you perform the leg exercises, the leg strength exercises, you get sore, and then you overcome the soreness, your body adapts to it, and then, you feel fatigued after that. And then you actually described what's called active recovery, which is you go out for a walk, and that helps get some blood flow, and you begin the recovery process. Instead of just sitting around, you go out for a walk, and that helps. So
definitely.
Yeah, that's like textbook right there. So that's cool. So obviously it sounds like you would definitely recommend people working with me. I mean, I kind of get that impression a little bit, right? If yes, tell me why.
Yes.
Kind of overall.
Oh my God. I mean, just the confidence to get out there and just be like, yeah, I belong here. I live in Chicago, but out here in these Colorado mountains, this is where I need to be. This is, wish if I could find a job out there, and then I would be moving out there and then, in a minute. So it's the confidence. It's the mental confidence for me personally. I mean, it was really nice to know, like, okay, I can do 2,500 feet of elevation with a 30-something pound, 33, 34-pound pack. You get out to those mountains and it's just like you're looking up and you're just like, oh my God, we got to go all the way up there, but it's just like, okay, I've done this before and I can do this again. It's going to take a while, but we'll get there. So to me, it was the mental hurdles.
Yeah. Okay. That's great.
Putting in that hard work and realizing it can be done.
And future, plans, it sounds like rim to rim based on your testimonial.
Definitely. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, exactly. I got to give Bill or Will a call. And then I'm thinking like springtime just for temperature reasons. I don't know if like this time of year, I mean, it's going to do the training, but whenever the training's over, I don't even know if the Grand Canyon would still be open or if it's going to be hot.
I'll tell you this. I think he might have some openings in October. Man, you could get ready. Oh, yeah. You could draft off of what you've done with this trip and be able to knock that out and think about that. That's like 2 bucket list trips in a year. Now, it's easy for me to spend your money and tell you what to do, but
that's some of the best money I've ever spent. Whatever I sent to Fitch trip, I mean, without a doubt, the best money I've ever spent in my life.
All right, well, that's great.
You think about all the gear, the money we spend on gear, trying to, shave a few ounces and a couple pounds. It's like I was talking to a buddy, you got a new backpack, lost 2 pounds, a new tent, lost 2 pounds. And I love the guy to death, but I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, you got about 40 pounds of ballast. You ought to fucking be, deep six and really, really be helping yourself out,
Right.
So whenever, people have been coming up to me and saying like, oh my God, I heard you were, doing great in Colorado. And then, you're this. And I told him, I tell him, yeah, I was working with a guy, Marcus, Fit for Trips, and this and that. And I got to give him that, I'm not trying to, be too pushy with it, but I'm trying to lead the horses to the water. Hopefully they'll see the light.
Well, that's great. I appreciate that. Very grateful. So last thing I want to ask is you don't have a lot of experience backpacking, but you really had a successful trip as though you'd been doing it for a while with your fitness preparation. And, you explained it as though you were meant to be out there and you were very comfortable. So Just out of curiosity, do you have any advice for backpackers in general? I mean, maybe you don't feel like you can give advice because you haven't been doing it for long, but I disagree. Anything you want to share that you can remember that you're like, want people listening to, to take away from this conversation?
Yeah, I would say for me personally, if it wasn't you, I would definitely recommend definitely working with a trainer, having a plan. Yeah, obviously I wouldn't known what to do as far as hiking and stairs and believe if I had, I would have been, oh yeah, okay, 1,000 feet. Yeah, that should be plenty today. I would have, so definitely work with a trainer. I would, highly recommend yourself, but if not, definitely somebody. I mean, like I said, the money I spent, with Fit for Trips was beyond value of any backpacking piece of gear. Your body, yourself, your mind, your body, just the whole physical and mental package is, that's the most important piece of gear you have in backpacking and in life itself. So if you can get your body, you can get your mind right. That's what, for me, working with Fit for Trips, not just got my body right, got my mind right, got me to the point of confidence where, I could say, you know what, I can do this. And then I would also say, say you get absolutely downpoured your very first night on trail and your boots are soaked and you're wringing your socks out and your underwear's wet and your sleeping bag's wet and you're cold and you're in your tent and you just hate it. You just want to go home, but you got 7 more nights of this. Just talk yourself off the ledge. Tomorrow's another day. And just, just deal. You got to deal with the bad and the good will be there. So just have faith in yourself. Have faith in the program. Have faith in, your trainer. Have faith in yourself. And just, be real. You're going to get punched in the face, but just, pick yourself up off the mat and just come out swinging.
Yeah, that's the wilderness for you.
Yeah.
There's such a dichotomy there between it. It could just kick your butt, but it gives so much in return. It really does. As much as it delivers, and it might punish you a little bit here and there, and there's just nothing like being out there, especially once you're 3 days into a trip like that. You're supposed to you just forget about everything back home, and you're just in the moment, and you're just
put the phone on airplane mode.
Yeah. So that's great. So I recommend people listening to this, make it a 3, do whatever you want, but eventually get to the point where you're confident to go into the at least 3, if not 4-day plus realm.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Yeah. I would say it was around day 3, day 4. Where I remember I was hiking and I'm just like, oh my God, it's hot. I'm sweaty, stink. I'm smelling myself. My feet hurt. My socks are wet again. My boots have never dried out. And I'm just like, God, I don't know if I've ever been so happy in my life. It was just, once you give in to the suffering, it's just like, oh my God, you feel so much better. You feel so good. You just like the mental health. It was just amazing. Just incredible.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting is, the struggles that we put ourselves into these days, it's kind of an artificial struggle. It's like a deadline to get something done for your boss, or it's you're having trouble with your website, or your internet's slow, or whatever, and you start to get stressed out. It's kind of an artificial feeling of stress. But what we're really, our DNA is accustomed to for, thousands of years is really the suffering and the struggles of the outdoors and the elements and that kind of stuff. But I think based on what you're saying and things I've read, it's like that's kind of where our bodies and our minds are accustomed to adapting to. So as I listen to you say that, it just really makes a lot of sense, Put all those normal struggles behind that just are kind of artificial and get out into the wilderness let your mind and body do what our DNA and all our evolution is still there in our bodies. Let it work.
Mm-hmm.
Let it
Right.
feel again like what it's supposed to feel like,
And I think for me, it was just the idea of like, okay, if it's not in this pack, we're not going to get it till you get back to Chicago. Like there was a couple things I was definitely jealous of was everybody else had tortillas or like some kind of, and I remember at like one point I was just like, oh my God, I think I would pay $20, $30 for just one tortilla right now. I just want some bread. I just want that. I just want, and some chocolate. I was going to bring some, but I thought it would melt. But then everybody else had some. I was just like, so I'll always have a little bit of chocolate with me next time too, because I would have paid $50 for some chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely. Chocoholic.
But if it's not in the bag, it's like, no. It's just, and that's a hard no. There's no 7-Eleven. There's no pantry. There's no, it's a no. You can no. And that's hard. That's like, we got so many conveniences and so many. I really think it's the conveniences are what's driving people crazy.
Yeah, and that's a good intuition that you have. That's right. There's plenty of research tied into that. So I'll let people kind of think about that for a moment. And I'll just say you're on the right track. The research says it. Some of those modern conveniences are actually detrimental to mental health. I'll let people kind of think about that for a moment.
Definitely.
That sounds twisted, but I think it's pretty accurate. So
totally agree. Get out and suffer a little bit and you'll be happy for it.
Yeah. Excellent. Dermot, man, I'm so grateful that you gave me a chance to work with you for so long and that you trusted me. I'm just really great to work with you intimately for that long. That was a long time, and you're a great client, and hopefully people listening to this will.
You're a great coach. Great coach. I mean, that's no exaggeration. That was the best money I've ever spent. I unloaded so much just mental nonsense, just, demons, and then 56 years of introversion and bad decisions. And just let it rip, man. Just let it rip. And I was like, all right, I'll be back in a few minutes and then I'll pick up the pieces then, but
yeah,
I left all those pieces right there. I know you're not supposed to leave none, leave no trace. Well, they won't see them, but boy, I left a lot of mental garbage out there. I'm glad for it.
Wow, that's a great visual. And thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Well, all right, Dermot, you need another adventure on your bucket list.
Yeah, I'm gonna text Will right now.
Yeah, before life gets back into that funk again, get something on your calendar. And so you've got something at the light at the end of the tunnel there. So my friend, we'll be in touch, I'm sure. Okay, my friend?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you again, Marcus. Thank you again so much.
Yeah, you take care, buddy. That concludes this episode of the Hike Strong podcast. I'm committed to keeping all of the episodes for free. All I ask is that you subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends. My goal is to build a vast community of hikers with the confidence to crush any local or global trail. I hope you will join me in this endeavor. So until next time, train, hike, repeat, and as always, I'm here to support you every step of the way.